All right, guys, welcome to 2023. So today is Roofing SEO 2023, Survival of the Branded. I'm Nolan. This is Jason with Roofing Webmasters. So I like this one. Somebody very astute that works with us came up with it. It has changed dramatically, and this is part of it. And I had somebody... I'll start it off with like something. I was talking to someone, had this whole conversation about what is SEO because people don't really understand it. And if I say it nowadays, I won't even say the word SEO. I'll say we champion your digital brand through search engines, and they track those signals and then compare it to other people in your market to see if you deserve to show up in ranking.
Right.
So it's not really graded, it's compared, but it's signals, and the signals are ongoing.
Ranked, not graded.
Yeah, so the guy at the end of all of it said, so once I get it up and ranking, I can quit the service, right? And I'm like, yeah, so that was like the gist.
You can, but you shouldn't.
So the reason you don't, and I used to use this analogy a long time ago, and I've started using it a little bit more recently, is that if you have the finest racehorse on the track, but you take out a shotgun and blow the jockey off of it, the horse kind of freaks out and scuttles around the track.
I thought you were going to shoot the horse there for a second.
No, the horse is still on the track.
What it says about me is I was relieved that you only shot the jockey.
We're the jockey, though. We're the jockey.
Yes, but you're telling people you shouldn't shoot us.
It's a racehorse that's going around the track that we're helping to manage and run.
Right.
And if it stops and the digital signaling stops, then they begin to lose rankings. Yeah. We do this all the time, Jason. I know, it's so stinking frustrating to watch it. Someone will get up and get going. They're like ramming speed winning. I'm winning. And then it's like,
time to take a break.
Let's stop everything. And then it's like the guy from Caddyshack running into the storm. Except that I don't think that the people who do this know that they're going to get struck by lightning. Yeah. Lightning strikes them later and they're like, well, that was weird, How did that happen?
And we see that a lot this time of year. It's January 2023, first part of January. And we see people calling saying, well, I want to pause service, or I don't want to do anything for a few months because it's a slow season. I was like, yeah, but busy season is coming up on you. And if you stop now, your ranking will dip. And if you start back up at busy season, it's too late to get to take advantage of busy season.
Right. It's the most frustrating thing. So it is the job of any roofer to be able to pay for their marketing during down season. And us, like being a marketing company or providing monthly services or having a bunch of people here that we pay monthly that we don't let go during someone's off season. This isn't just tailored towards our benefit. This is Google literally seeing signals from you or not. And if you decide to slow them down or curtail probably the only good things you have going and just depend on it, because all the time, I use this as an example too, all the time people look at stuff and say, well, I have a website. Well, I've got one already. And just, I'm going to back up one more step and say, this is for the smarter people.
Yeah.
Our service, and I didn't used to talk like this, but this is for people. We're not the most expensive one, but it costs more than trash, so that we can earn a profit. And we're for the smarter roofer that realizes they have a digital brand that must be tended to all the time until they're ready to be put out to pasture and be done.
Yeah.
Until they're ready for that. I think that works for most of our clients, right? They get the analogy. But if you want to be that horse that gets to be put out to pasture and go to a glue factory, then you're going to tend to your shit day in and day out, month in and month out. And then you get to retire on top and you understood what the nature of it was.
Right.
And this service is for people who understand that.
It's something you said a minute ago, that it's the job of the roofer to do this.
Yeah.
That's actually very interesting because a lot of roofers think their job is to put roofs on.
Well, it is.
And, it's their job to run the company that puts the roofs on, but their job as the owner of the company is to make sure that the company is healthy. And this is part of that.
There's a staggering amount of things that a business owner has to do, speaking from my experience, that a business owner has to continue to do, that has to continue to come up on as time goes on. And if you don't continue to come up to the next change or level in business, you will eventually just drift off. And any business owner that's been doing this for a long time can feel that drift coming.
Right.
And if you don't, you can see you've seen me reinvent myself over the years here and there.
Many times.
And
last Friday was my 9th anniversary.
Was it really?
Yeah. So I've seen this more than once.
This year, am I going all out to reinvent or not? Like I am.
We've been talking about the plan for. I am
hammering, and I'm biohacking on both arms. I've got my Whoop watch. I've got my Apollo Neuro. I've got all kinds of crap going on.
That's new. You haven't told me.
The Apollo Neuro helps me just mindfulness and crap,
Mindfulness and crap.
Just, if I'm getting a little edgy or if I need to chill, it helps me chill without taking illicit drugs or some shit or drinking my liver into cirrhosis. So anyway, but there's things that we all do, and marketing is one thing that people don't normally get.
Yeah.
And most people never really get it. And if I had to nutshell it for anybody just real quick, is that you are a digital brand online. I'm going to quit using Google as the only one because I don't think that search for a brand is going to change much, but I think there could be some new platforms coming up.
Yeah, it's starting to look like we might finally see
competition,
a little diversification in the search market.
We can talk about ChatGPT another time, but that doesn't mean that there's not going to be search. It just means that it might change a little bit. Right now, it's resoundingly Google.
Yeah.
And if somebody gets in on what we call the big show and they participate in that and they show Google digital signals raising their hand all over the digital board, we're good guys in more than just one way. Not just that they do reviews connected to their crappy website and then wonder why they're not in pack 3. Nolan Walker here for Roofers Paradise. Thank you for checking out our podcast here for Roofing Webmasters, where we talk about nothing but marketing. But I'd love for you to check out Roofers Paradise, where I personally interview and talk with roofers. We talk about their successes, their failures, their dreams, their goals and ambitions. It's a great podcast where we actually speak to roofers. Love to have you check out Roofers Paradise. You can find us on YouTube by searching Roofers Paradise. Any platform for podcasts, search Roofers Paradise. Be sure to subscribe, or you can actually go to roofersparadise.show. Look forward to having you over at Roofers Paradise. I'll tell you another thing that gets to me that people do that someone should understand about their brand and their survival of the brand. And I've kind of talked around the topic, but your brand is digital. If you don't get a diversified, varied set of signals that are quality, you won't be the brand that survives online.
Right.
Because you won't get all the signals you need to be compared against other people and deserve to show up in search rankings. And that's the essence of SEO.
Yeah. Didn't used to be. It's actually kind of funny. We're talking, we've for the past year, we've been talking about branding more. We've been stressing it more and more. And we've hit a point where if you go back 10 years, your branding was the most important thing in your marketing and advertising.
Right.
And Google comes along, gets to be the big thing. And all of a sudden, people stopped paying attention to branding and just went with keyword manipulation and link manipulation and all those tricks.
Well, it's been that the whole time.
Yeah.
It's been that the whole time.
And we're back around to the branding, the digital brand being the most important thing.
So I still get people calling me all the time that say things like, hey, I need some landing pages written. And I'm like, okay, we'll make a website, but we don't necessarily just piecemeal out a landing page. That's for some chumps off of Upwork or somebody out of this country, but our golden boys and girls here don't just write landing pages.
Right.
We're not the cleanup crew after somebody vomited at the dinner party, but that's kind of what it is. And it's like, well, because it is a comprehensive set of things. I had somebody ask, so I'll ask a question for you, just kind of lob one up, and just so that people start to understand some of this. So it's I want to do a podcast called Nuance. So the nuances of all the signaling, but done just right. So if blogs are now bad, is content bad?
No.
But why not? But why? Because so people call me all the time. They want a landing page. They want blogging. Write me content. And so I'm kind of, what Jason said earlier is that this is what it's always been for like 20 years. So people call up and demand certain items a la carte. A la carte.
Yeah.
I'm smart, you're dumb, I'm going to tell you what to do. It's like, well, we can't really start from that standpoint because the vast array of things that need to be signaled to Google in order for you to be a strong brand, it absolutely won't work. And probably what you're asking for is spamming against Google Webmaster guidelines anyway.
It might be against the Webmaster guidelines. It might simply be ineffective and be ignored.
Maybe.
One of the two.
So content, yeah, but go ahead. I went off, but blogging's bad. Why? But content's not bad. Why?
Well, you need content, obviously, to tell Google and the user, really the user,
right?
Because that's the other thing we've gotten to, is it reminds me a lot of the old link spam days. Is Google spent years?
You just jacked my second one up.
I'm sorry.
Right for the client, not Google. But go ahead. That's all right.
Google spent years telling people to stop buying links and doing link spam and all that.
Right.
But it still worked. So everybody still did it.
Right.
And then what was it, 2011, 2012, they cranked up, was it
12 or 13?
That was Panda.
Panda and Penguin were pretty similar.
That finally addressed link spam. And all of a sudden, if you've been link spamming, all your stuff collapsed.
Penguin
disappeared. I thought Penguin was...
Panda was absolutely content. Penguin.
Do I have them backwards? Okay. Anyway.
Whatever.
One of those P algorithms.
Nice, fluffy animal that's here to kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden... But they spent years telling us, we want you to do it this way, but it felt like they weren't enforcing it.
Right.
And then the same thing has really kind of happened with content, as they spent years saying, write for the user, not for the search engine. Write for the user, not for the search engine. But writing for the search engine is still what ranked #1, so that's what everybody did. And then this year, Helpful Content Update hits, and they have they're rolling out phase 2 or 3 of Helpful Content Update right now.
I do the emoji.
Yeah. And it's hitting, if you wrote for the search engine instead of for the user,
you're screwed.
It's hitting hard.
I just thought of the greatest little spot, and I'll see if I can get it right. Everyone's asking, is SEO dead? And what's just happened is, no, if you don't understand SEO, you're dead.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So no, SEO's not dead. It just finally, Google's done with the ignorance factor of it. And all this ties back into your brand. So if you choose to be willfully ignorant or just give up because you can't figure it out, you're done.
Yeah.
If you don't participate, if clients don't participate and using DataPins and getting reviews and utilizing quality services like ours, like Roofing Webmasters and DataPins, to get the quality signaling through, you're just flat ass not going to show up anymore because you've chosen not to send out enough digital signaling to have a brand that's trusted, that deserves to show up in search ranking.
Yeah. If you're relying on just door knocking and PPC and maybe buying leads, you might be able to survive, but you're never going to reach the next level.
Nolan Walker here for DataPins. You may not know, but I own a software company, and we have a proprietary software called DataPins, DATAPINS. You can search it at datapins.com. This is not white labeled. I actually own this piece of software, and I made it for you. It was made for contractors. You can actually take pictures of jobs, up to 6, make a caption about the material, the brand, the situation, the repairs, and post that back to your individual pages on your website, just like that. It's super simple. Anyone could use it. It also texts and emails your clients direct links to your reviews, so it helps reputation and reviews, which helps conversion and map placement. The geo coordinate gets grabbed by DataPins, and Google can tell where you are. So instead of them just seeing reviews, they see all jobs or even estimates that you do. This vastly outperforms just getting reviews. Helps the map show up, helps organic keywords. And remember, those captions that you're putting in there help expand the keywords per page, and it's great regular content. I love it. We made it just for you. It is organic optimization on steroids for both your website, your rankings, and the map placement. Check out DataPins. I think you'll be happy you did. I had a guy, had a conversation on Friday with a roofer on the outskirts of Austin. Nice guy. And he was envious of a client we have there, but he was a door knocker pretty much exclusively and had done quite well. But it was finally getting to him a little bit.
Yeah.
Probably a combination of just age and the him aging a little bit, and then also people's liking of door knocking post 2020 and stuff, and rapid change of public sentiment and whether or not the new generation is going to open the door or get a gun, you know?
Yeah.
And so I get a gun. Yeah. I run for a butcher knife and I've got one leg leaning towards the guns. If somebody knocks my door. But I gave him the respect he deserved, which is somebody learns how to door knock. It's respectful, but it's not as good as organic. And a lot of door knockers will argue with me. I said, no, it's organic, so much less expensive than door knocking. Door knocking, for one thing, pain and suffering, revolving door, majority of people not sticking with it, the management, just the time and excruciating nature of retraining.
Yeah.
Not having leads
nobody
for
the people that you hire to knock doors, you never have them very long. Nobody wants to do that long term. I mean, maybe not nobody, but not very many people.
Right. Yeah. Most people don't want to sell in general.
Yeah.
But if you pay them enough, they will. But the sales is the thing that matters the most. But if you can get, because you have to hire, you get a van and hire not owned auto and insurance and managers and ads and ZipRecruiter and all this stuff, and you've got just a monstrous amount more money than it would have taken you to brand online to show up digitally.
Yeah.
And they would have gotten more calls and leads than they would have door knocking unless they ran in a very unwieldy large door knocking crew. And not many people do that anymore, really.
Yeah.
I was telling that guy too, it's like, you should do the 6-pack, 8-pack anyway. And you know, this guy was a diehard door knocker. He was going to do that. But you know, he was finally coming on board with thinking about it at all anyway. But it's just, that's it. Your branded signaling, the signaling through Google is your brand. One or two things isn't enough. People who decide to just throw up a crap website, never work on it, and get reviews only are usually disappointed nowadays. We used to talk about this, and you would still see crap up there and one-sided things, and they'd show up in ranking. It really doesn't happen as much. And then the amount of spam that we've received now, sites that looked good before September of 2022, really October with Google helpful content, now there's tons of shit spam sites out there because they're penalizing the hundreds of blogs that they have.
Yep.
Or 100 blogs. And I'm shocked at all the spam I'm seeing. And I'm like, well, and then people get lost. They go, well, blog, content's bad. No, content's the basis for search still.
But it has to be quality. That's the thing, is Google keeps honing in on the quality of content.
It has to be written for the user and not for the benefit of the roofer that wants to show up in 5 states.
Right.
Or 5 metros or 100 cities. Or one city with a bunch of crap blogs, 5 reasons to inspect your roof after a hailstorm.
Yeah.
Or 3 reasons to whatever.
It might have holes.
Yeah. And it's just crud that nobody writes or wants to read that people write that is really just meant for you to get a search. And it's kind of hard to think about it that way, but when a website's written well and has your products, services, your materials, and maybe a few city pages, and then that's embellished upon in a thoughtful manner, thoughtful meaning thoughtful for the end user,
right? The
person who searched on Google, the roofer's client, Google's client, but not written for Google or for the owner of the roofing company that just wants to get clicks.
Right.
And then they screw up their marketing. They wonder why it doesn't work. They start buying leads, doing stuff like that, and then they give up.
Yeah, they fall into that trap. We had a client fairly recently. He had some issues. Didn't want to use DataPins. Was resistant to them. Didn't get reviews. He had been with us for quite a while, actually, but he'd never really fully got on board on how you do it, and he gave up. He went and put up a 1-page website with a form on it and told me flat out, he goes, I'm just going to put signs.
I know exactly who you're talking about, and that guy actually did get some response, though. That's another thing that people will do, too. They will start getting business and not tie it back to where it comes from.
Yeah.
And if you get some things, I'll talk about that real quick. We wrap this thing up. But when somebody shows up online, that doesn't really mean much. Like they can show up for a word or two, but you could literally show up for thousands in the top 10 and be in pack 3 and be one of the most dominant roofers in town. You're never going to be number 1 for everything. You're never going to show up for everything.
Right.
But you can show up all the time for tons of stuff if you handle this properly. And if you're thinking about it in that way, in a legitimate way to dominate without cheating or tricking Google or black hat SEO, and those signals are coming through, you'll get more and more dominant. In fact, you can tell them about, like branded works right into the conversation that you'll more eloquently speak about than me on your entity and your entity categories as they expand. Can you tell people how
you want to go into
please?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of arcane. Basically, the way Google views, we still talk, we still say keywords, but internally, unless they're talking about PPC, Google for SEO doesn't think in terms of keywords. They call it entities, and that's basically concepts. Like roofing is a concept, and then there's all the things that are attached to roofing, which is the materials and
Firestone TPO or Bravo Spanish barrel tile roof.
Or architectural shingle or whatever it is. Everything that's attached to that it goes in this conceptual mind map where you've got roofing here in a circle and then all that other stuff, and it's connected and they're connected to each other, and it's those interconnections that form the basis of SEO. And what you want for your brand, the concept of being branded does not mean you have a cool logo and a wrapped truck.
Right.
It means that deep in the bowels of Google's algorithm is your business is an entity, and that entity has close connections with roofing, and therefore and additionally the stuff that's connected to roofing. If you just have a connection to roofing, but you don't connect yourself to those barrel shingles or barrel tiles and those architectural shingles, then the algorithm has to take 2 extra steps. But if you connect yourself to both roofing and those other things, you're more closely connected to those concepts. And if you connect to those concepts, and then you also connect to the entity of your location and the surrounding locations immediately around you, that's branding on local SEO.
So a shit ton of stuff will show up. Yeah. Basically. And let me pull this together a little bit.
That's a quicker way of putting it.
Yeah.
Shit ton of stuff.
That's why you discuss stuff. I'm going to bring it through to everybody. Nolan Walker here for Roofing Webmasters. I want you to consider becoming one of our clients. We've done this for 12 years, have hundreds of clients. We help everybody with their design, their code, their content, showing up on Google as high as possible. Clients get regular call volume. If you've never experienced what I call the big show, showing up on Google organically, which is where the vast majority of the clicks occur, on your map, your reputation, your reviews, your organic keyword ranking, you owe it to yourself to try us. We even have proprietary software that we own called DataPins that lets you post pictures of jobs, unique captions that increase keywords and long tail keywords, your rankings on Google, text and emailing clients about reviews, even posting pins and photos and captions back to Google. All this helps your organic rankings. DataPins is fantastic, and the work we do here at Roofing Webmasters is fantastic. Please give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. One thing, if you didn't catch all this, is that content's the basis for it. When we write a website for somebody fully, and it has materials in it, and then you embellish those materials, let's say on the tile roof page with Bravo Spanish barrel tile roofs. Now Google knows you work on Bravo tile roofs. They don't know that before. As your brand gets signaling, digital hand raises, citations, links, reviews, but reviews isn't the only thing.
Right.
And then the content's written and curated, and you guys post pins, captions to closely related categories in the entity of stuff. That establishes the branded signaling, that strengthens the entity, which takes it down from the first level of roofer into all the other little categories that you have.
Like if you're sitting here, this is your business, you're connected to roofing here, and over here is this particular kind of tile. As soon as you do a pin where you talk about that, that creates that direct connection.
Right.
And so all of a sudden we got roofing, we got that tile, we got you, and there's connections between all three.
Branded signaling through this stuff. And what people don't realize, if you want to get like hardcore stinking serious, half of all search is low search volume.
Right.
Which means people type in weird crap. And roofers on local levels don't ever really take full advantage of all the keywords. And if you took advantage of the keywords...
Everybody concentrates on roofer.
Roofer, roofing, roof repair, roof replacement.
Roofing contractor or something like that.
Shingle roofing, you know.
Obviously you'd love to have those if you could get them.
We go for those as well.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about is that you get those because you strengthen the brand. When you strengthen the brand, you strengthen the entity. When it's written properly and has proper URL structuring and user interface, and you have the pages about your services, and then the branded signaling starts to work in harmony with the entity and with your company, then it explodes into all these stinking keywords. And the map shows up, and the organic shows up, and thousands of keywords that you would have never had show up. When we have clients, they get a 40-page site and they start doing pins and they start doing all this stuff. They get hundreds of pins. They show up for thousands of words, and it all is branded signaling.
Yeah, and we can track this. By the way, we'll do. We'll hook a new site launch up to Google Search Console, and after the first 60 days, once Google has fully indexed it, and it does take 60 days lately because Google's indexing has been like way behind for months now. We'll see a few 500 keywords being tracked, and then they start doing pins. And within a month or two, if they aggressively go after pins within a month or two, that goes up to 1,000.
It'll break the barrier.
Yeah. So the Search Console only shows us the top 1,000.
1,000. You'll have thousands more potentially, but it won't show them. But half of all search, I remind you guys, is low search volume. That it sounds like a double negative. It means that you can show up for twice as many keywords as you do, and that it can be hundreds of more searches, and it can be your business. And in striving for it, you are branding your company.
Yeah, and you're incidentally tying yourself to the primary keyword. Because every one of those entities is tied to the primary keyword. So all of a sudden you're showing up for all these. So you're creating more connections and tying yourself more closely to roofer, roofing contractor, roof repair.
I'd like to sum up on this. Jason, where in the hell can somebody get something like this done? Is there more than one place on planet Earth to do it?
No.
If
there's another one we don't know about.
We're not shitting you. If there's another place we don't know about it, it's painstakingly difficult to do this, to write all. I mean, we don't use AI content. We don't use copied content. It's written by hand by people out of Texas. Everyone's skilled. We have a software company that was proprietary. This stuff is hooked up and integrated from ground zero up. I'm not going to go into details to why you need it, but you, by God, need it, because if you slap on shit and crap and throw up junk to Google, that's what results you'll get.
Yep.
And it won't work as well. We painstakingly do it. Why? Because we want to keep somebody paying us for a great service and have a great benefit for both parties involved.
Exactly.
And if we don't do a good job, people don't want to pay. But if we do a great job, they stay for years. I've had people now for 13 years, I think. Some stay for years, some don't stay that long. But our average client stays for a very long time.
Right.
What do you say, Jason? Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. And if you do want to hear more details about why you need this, call the number.
Yeah, if you got questions, we're happy to answer. We're not high pressure. We'd love to have you as a client. You need this worse than you know. And once you have it, you'll wonder why you didn't participate in what we call the big show. There's not many people that actually help with organic optimization. I don't know of any that. There's just a small handful that could, and they don't have DataPins. And they don't have the knowledge base that we have. Us like pontificating about all this crud isn't the point. We actually do these things.
Yeah,
that's everybody else. Like, people will sell and slam people in hard close, and then they don't provide the service, don't have the resources, don't have the knowledge to actually do it, but can spit out a nice sales rap. without doing it. Guys, call us when you are ready. We'll see you next time.
Take it easy.